2,000 years ago, the world had no winner. Demons, humans, spirits, and gods were trapped in a war that kept repeating itself over and over again. Anos Voldigoad was known as the Demon King of Tyranny, a name that meant death to everyone who heard it. But his most dangerous trait was not his strength. It was the fact that he understood war better than anyone else. If demons defeated humans, they would eventually find a new enemy. If humans defeated demons, they would turn against spirits, gods, and then even each other. So Anos made a deal with the hero Kanan. He sacrificed himself, separated the worlds with magical walls, and gave everyone 2,000 years to cool down their hatred. And then he returned. But he does not come back to a dark castle full of monsters. He is born into a completely normal family that loves him so much that every single thing he does feels like a national holiday. The funniest part is that Anos is only 1 month old, but he already looks like a teenager and is ready to take the entrance exam for Demon King Academy. That is where he meets Misha Necron, a quiet girl who looks like she is used to being alone. And before the day even truly begins, Anos runs into the first symptom of this new world. Nobility. A royal named Zepis tries to humiliate him, because in this era, bloodline matters more than actual power. Anos shuts down his magic like it is nothing, accepts his duel, kills him, brings him back to life, and basically explains, death is not the end. For me, death is just a 3-second pause. And right away we understand what kind of character Anos is. He does not scream, he does not try to prove himself, he does not waste words on threats, he just stands there while everyone around him slowly realizes that their rules no longer work. And then the Academy does the funniest thing possible. It officially labels the real Demon King as a misfit, a failure. That is like building a school for firefighters, then rejecting fire because it is not hot enough. Anos quickly realizes that the problem is not just the school, the entire demon world is corrupted. Royals hate hybrids, everyone is obsessed with pure blood. Children are taught that the Demon King's name was Avos Tilhevia, not Anos Voldigoad. Even ancient beings that Anos himself created no longer remember the truth. Someone did not just lie about history, someone rewrote it, but before he can discover who did it, Anos gets his first team Misha and her sister Sasha. Sasha Necron is known as the Witch of Destruction, a girl whose eyes can destroy anything when her emotions get out of control. At first, she seems like a classic arrogant rival. She insults Misha, challenges Anos, and tries to act like she has no heart. But Anos notices something that nobody else does. Sasha's hatred is too clean. When someone is truly cruel, their emotions leak out. But with Sasha, everything feels too controlled, almost like she is pretending to be a monster because she has to. And then comes the twist that completely changes the tone of the story. Misha was never supposed to exist. She and Sasha were originally one being. The Necron family's magic split them apart. But on their 15th birthday, Misha is supposed to disappear and return to Sasha. That is why Sasha kept pushing Misha away. She never hated her. She was trying to make Misha hate her so she could take the sacrifice instead. And this is where Anos stops being just an overpowered protagonist, because anyone else would say, that is fate. Anos says, then I will destroy fate. To save both sisters, he does not look for a loophole in the rules. He changes the past. He clashes with the god of time, restores the truth of their birth, defeats Ivus Necron, and uses Venuznor, a sword that does not simply cut bodies, but erases the very laws of reality. Misha and Sasha survive, their birthday becomes real, but Anos gains something even more important. Proof that someone behind the false name Avos Tilhevia is intentionally changing the world. And from that moment on, the question is no longer, how strong is Anos? The real question is, who is insane enough to steal history from the Demon King? Then Le Glenzudli enters the story. At first glance, he is just a transfer student and a genius swordsman. He is calm, friendly, and strong enough to finally be interesting to Anos. But there is something strange about Le from the beginning. His fighting style reminds Anos of an old subordinate from his previous life. And when something in this story feels like a coincidence, it is usually not a coincidence. At the same time, we are introduced to the Anos Fan Union. On paper, they are a comedic group of girls who worship Anos. But through them, the series shows how rotten this world really is. Many of them are hybrids, children that the royal system treats like mistakes. And that is why Anos becomes dangerous to the entire country. Not because he can destroy a building, but because he refuses to accept the fake value of blood. If you're a royal and you're weak, he does not respect you. If you're a hybrid and you have courage, he accepts you. That is why the Magic Sword Tournament is not just a tournament. It is a stage where the royalists need to prove that their system still controls everything. The problem is Le, he is a hybrid. He is too talented, and his mother Sheila is half spirit and half demon. Her existence depends on rumors, traditions, and memories. If the story about her disappears, then she disappears too. The royalists use that against him. They threaten Sheila's life and force Le to fight Anos. But Le does not want a dirty victory. He wants a real duel. and Anos gives it to him. Then comes one of the coldest Anos moments. Emilia, a teacher obsessed with pure blood, attacks Anos' mother and the fan union. And this time Anos is not just calm, this time he is angry, but he does not simply kill her. He turns her into a hybrid and curses her to keep being reborn as the very thing she hated most. If you spent your whole life stepping on people because of their birth, then now you will have to see the world through their eyes. The tournament finale reveals an even bigger trap. Melhis, one of the old demon emperors, is being controlled from the shadows. He tries to trap Anos, use Lei, and kill Sheila. On paper, the plan is perfect, but there is one problem. A trap made for Anos usually just becomes a new way for Anos to win. Lei cuts through space. Anos frees Melhis, and Sheila returns through a new tradition that Anos spreads in front of all Dilhated. And this is where we realize something important. Anos does not win only through strength. He wins by changing the story the world believes in. And Avos Dilhevia, the false Demon King, is still somewhere in the background, closer than anyone thinks. After the demon side of the story, we move to Azeshion, the land of humans. There we find Hero Academy, a school that is supposed to preserve the legacy of Hero Kanon. On paper, it is basically the human version of Demon King Academy. But something immediately feels wrong. The students do not sound like people who celebrate peace. They sound like children raised for war. They talk about justice, but every word smells like revenge. They claim to carry Kanon's will, but Anos knew the real Kanon, and the real Kanon was not a man who lived for hatred. At Hero Academy, we meet Eleanor, a warm but strangely sad girl, and Zashia, a silent warrior who looks like she has no voice of her own. We also meet the so-called reincarnations of Kanon, students who supposedly carry fragments of the hero's power. But Anos sees the cracks. During the inter-academy exam, Hero Academy cheats. They use holy water, dangerous light magic, and tactics that can actually kill demon students when the demons are in danger of dying. Anos steps in. The humans use a lake of holy water as an advantage, so Anos drains the entire lake. But the real horror is not the fight. The real horror is S. S supposedly converts the prayers, hope, and love of humans into power. Hero Academy presents it as proof that humans are pure and righteous. But underneath that love, Anos hears the real voice. Kill the demons. That is not hope. That is programmed hatred. Eleanor then reveals the truth. She is not an ordinary girl. She is human magic. Forbidden magic created to produce source clones. Zeshia and thousands of other girls are not just students. They are child weapons copies that can die and be replaced. And all of it comes from Yurga, an old commander of the human army. Yurga did the most dangerous thing a villain can do. He turned revenge into a system, into an academy, into patriotism, into justice. People think they are following Kanon's will, but in reality they are being led by the dead hatred of a man who could not accept that the war was over, and that is why this arc matters. The main enemy is not just a person with powerful magic. The main enemy is a lie that survived for 2,000 years. When Avos Dilhavia finally steps out of the shadows, everything moves toward war. Humans are sold the story that the Demon King has returned to destroy them. Demons are sold the story that their true ruler has awakened. Both sides are given exactly what they need to start killing each other again. And then Anos, the so-called tyrant, gives the most important order of the season. Do not die and do not kill. He does not want a victory that simply changes which side gets to hate. He wants the cycle to end. Then he reveals the truth. Avos Dilhavia is Lei, or rather Rei, the reincarnation of Hero Kanon. After the old war, Kanon realized that people like Yurga would never let go of their hatred. If Anos' real name remained in history, that hatred would eventually return to him. So Kanon used the holy sword Evansmana to change history. The name Anos Voldigoad faded away. The name Avos Dilhavia was born, and Kanon's plan was terrifying. Become the false Demon King, let the humans kill him, and give them an ending they could accept. The hero planned to become a monster so nobody else would have to. That is why Lei was close to Anos the entire time. He was not just a rival. He was his friend from a past life, a man still trying to save the world by disappearing alone. But Anos refuses to accept that, because a peace that requires your friend to die alone is not peace. It is just another lie. Their fight is not hatred. It is two men who want the same ending, but one believes he has to sacrifice himself, while the other believes he can break even that rule. Kanon's plan almost works. Anos allows it to look like the Demon King has fallen, and he orders the demons not to take revenge against the humans. For one moment the war really might stop, but Yurga does not want it to end. His hatred appears as enormous sacred magic and tries to erase the demons forever. The Zeshia troops are forced into self-destruction. The humans pray for justice, but that justice is eating their souls. And then Anos returns, because even when his source is destroyed, he uses the very logic of that attack to restore himself. For him, death is not a wall. It is just another rule with a weak point. But the final victory does not come only from his power. The fan union sings. Demons and humans save the wounded. Rei uses Evansmana to undo the fate Yurga forced onto the world. Anos uses Del's Gate and Venusner to destroy the false order that claims hatred must last forever. Jurga believes humans and demons are doomed to hate each other. Anos proves that this is only a story he repeated for too long. Eleanor becomes Anos' magic, which means she can no longer be used as a factory for child weapons. The Zeshias get a chance to live. Ray does not have to die as the false Demon King. And the world, for the first time in 2,000 years, receives a peace that is not built on a lie. And after all of that, Anos goes home. His parents do not understand half of what happened. All they care about is that their son is alive, and that there will be mushroom gratin for dinner. And honestly, that is the perfect ending. Because Anos is not interesting only because he is unbeatable. He is interesting because in a world full of fake legends, corrupt schools, propaganda, and inherited hatred, he remains incredibly simple. If a rule is stupid, he will destroy it. If fate demands a sacrifice, he will change it. If the world forgets the truth, he will force it to remember. And if an academy decides that the real Demon King is a misfit, then the problem is not the Demon King. The problem is the academy. If you want part 2, next time we enter the sequel, where the myth of Anos spreads even further, and the real question is no longer whether he can win, but who is so afraid of the truth that they would rewrite the entire world.